A few weeks ago, I made a video about comparing the Nikon Z8 and the Sony A1 Mark II, and I uploaded it, and I wasn't expecting that much of a reaction to it. But first of all, if you're one of the 315 subscribers that we have now, great, because we crossed that 300 threshold. Welcome, thank you. And if you're here to find out which one I chose, I will tell you in just a moment, but I just want to sort of walk you through my thought process. Maybe this will help some people that are considering changing brands, or if they're looking to buy their first professional camera. I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, to both companies for giving me those cameras to try for multiple weeks, which really helps, because I know I'm privileged in that sense, and not everyone can actually do that. But also, on the other hand, we don't have good return policies in our country, so it's not like I can buy one and return one. So that's the best way to sort of try them. This is not a scripted video, but I did make some bullet points over the weeks for myself about what I want to share with you. So I'm going to be looking at my phone every now and then. And if you hear some noises, I'm in downtown Budapest, so it's just normal. But I stopped in here. This is the National Athletics Center, which is now open to the public, but actually was built for the Athletics World Championship. And I think that was the whole start of this channel. I'll link the video somewhere here, but I made a few, like 2-minute video with just a drone. That's all I had at the time. It was DJI Air 2S, and I was hiding in one of those bushes because at the time it was completely illegal to film these type of sports centers, but recently the regulations have changed. So anyway, I'm drifting away from the topic, but I just wanted to sort of mention it. If you haven't seen the video, I'll link it down below and somewhere in the corners, just so you can sort of see the exact tests I've done. I've done a bit of concert photography, sports photography, did a bit of video, did a bit of overexposing, underexposing on purpose, and just to see what I like to work with, what fits my workflow. And the whole process started because I sold my Fujifilm gear because I just couldn't work with it video-wise. So photography-wise, I would have been okay with it. Apart from the 26 megapixels, I always wished for a little bit more, but that's where it started. So if you haven't seen that video, click through and watch that later on. I did have some previous experiences with Sony, but none with Nikon. So it was definitely my first time, and I spent a few days just going through menus and testing things at home, just to sort of get back to that same level. So under that video, there's plenty of comments saying, you don't know what you're doing. Well, we can all learn from each other, and of course I did go through all those menus, and so some of the things that I sort of came across you could control, and some of the things you couldn't control. So definitely these first-hand experiences are super valuable to me. One of those things that I came across was the lack of a mechanical shutter, which terrified me at first until I actually used it. And at no point did I feel like I needed a mechanical shutter, apart from the concerts. For sure, if you have multiple frequency LEDs, no matter what settings you choose, there is no common shutter speed that just sort of filtered out all the flickering, as well as I mostly shoot metal concerts, which is just blasting lights all over the place due to the nature of that music. So apart from that, the lack of a mechanical shutter was not an issue, and in fact I think build quality wise Nikon has really nailed it with the Z8 and Z9. I think it's also worth highlighting that when you choose a camera brand and you're starting from scratch, you're also buying not just into the camera brand, but also into the community, into the company, their policies, as well as the support that's available in your region or in your country. So that's also something that I had to keep in mind. And secondly is how the company treats individuals, professionals, aspiring professionals, companies, larger companies, and how sort of they treat them in terms of events, as well as, you know, any sort of discounts or loyalty programs that they have. So that's something I also had to keep in mind, and certainly one of those companies came out ahead by far. The other one, I understand that they're also super busy. These are two huge companies, so maybe they just have less people in this country, but that's also something that I had to keep in mind going forward, is if something goes wrong, do I have enough people to actually support me if I need something fixed within a few days, or if I need a loaner. And I think certainly Sony has been helping me for over a year at this point with various cameras, lenses, and accessories, as well as certain industry events that they were sponsors of, and I could just go there and try their cameras out. So that was very helpful. Compatibility as well as the ecosystem does it cater to all your needs? Does it work with the existing products that you have, that you use, that you've invested into? And I think what I found is that they are both very compatible, because Nikon has been just catching up to everybody else for the past few years, and can no longer sort of ridicule them for basic technical lacking of certain features or support. But I did find that on the video side of things, especially with stuff like DJI products, they have a specific partnership with Sony, as well as Sony supplies the sensors for Nikon in some of their cameras, as well as stuff like the DJI Ronin 4D is also a sensor from Sony. So there's definitely more horsepower under the Sony ecosystem when it comes to videography. For photography, I found that Nikon was just there. I mean, you can't throw any situation at it apart from these, flickering LEDs by the bunch on a stage. You couldn't really throw anything at it that it couldn't handle, but you can work your way around those things. You can fine tune if you're lucky enough. For photography, you can get either one of these, it will get the job done. For video, Nikon is great. It's really catching up, but I found myself more confident with the Sony, both in terms of their autofocus and how sticky it was, and that it didn't hunt, it didn't hesitate, it didn't radically change between subjects if there were 5-6 subjects in the frame, as well as in terms of the colors. I just didn't like the colors that came out of it. And I know that sounds weird because people have been bashing Sony colors for years, but if you work in the industry, you know that you can work with Sony. You can fix those things, and there are many, many workflows and shortcuts that you can take. I just didn't feel like Nikon was there yet, and I had to do a lot of manual adjustments of a lot of yellow and blue that I just don't like in general, which is ironic because right now everything is yellow and blue if you look at it. So yeah, also there I just found a little bit more confident with Sony. And so I took around a month to really evaluate which one to get. And I ended up choosing the A1 Mark II with a 24-70 2.8 just to get started, and then hopefully down the line we'll get a few more of these. But before I made that decision, I really had to think about the price of it, because if we just look at it retail-wise, you can get the Nikon now for around, in Hungarian converted currency, for around 4,500 USD for the body, and then roughly 2,200 for 24-70 2.8. Whereas the Sony is the most expensive in the world here in Hungary, which meant that the actual body is around $8,000. And the 24-70 2.8 GM2 that they have is a little bit cheaper. It's around $2,000. You can get some good deals on it if you hunt around a little bit. And so if you look at it from a straight up perspective, if you are to go out and spend that much money on a camera, I don't think that there's that much difference. So money value wise, the Nikon is a better value. And then I'm not going to go into details because they're not sponsoring me in any way, but as somebody from the corporate world, I do know how to sort of negotiate pricing and how to sell my value to a company and say, hey, I'm going to use this at events. I'm going to use this in whatever circles that I move in. And so what's your best that you can offer, right? You got to sort of bring out those Middle Eastern genes and go for a good deal. And the response to those questions couldn't be different in between the two companies. And so at the end of the day, I got a price that put the Sony so much closer to the Nikon that it wasn't even a question anymore. For that much, it was a steal, almost to the point where I felt bad about how good of a value I got out of this deal. So this is just a follow-up. I know I've been talking a little bit too long about it, but I just wanted to sort of put an end to the endless discussions that are still going on. Literally a few minutes ago, another comment said that it's a great video, and have I tried this setting, have I tried that setting on this camera and that camera. I'm really, really grateful for over 6,000 views and the fact that we crossed the 300 subscriber threshold. So if you like camera tests, if you like drone tests, any sort of technical stuff, I am talking with a car manufacturer as well to get an electric car lent to me for a weekend in the next few weeks, and so I can actually do a little bit of testing of those as well, because that's also one of my passions. Consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm now looking forward to creating with the A1 Mark II. I absolutely love this camera. I don't think there's anything that you can throw at it that it wouldn't be able to do, and also one more thing to mention is that the Sony gives me 4 years of warranty. And the Nikon, I believe, because technically it was a company purchase, it would have been 1 year only. And so that's also another huge factor when you are reliant on this for your living. 1 year versus 4 years, it wasn't even a question of which one is the better offer. So yeah, that's my hot tip for you. If you are looking for professional usage of a camera and maybe you have a portfolio that you can show, go around, ask different retailers, ask different camera companies. Can they sell it to you directly? Can they sell it to you through a strategic partner at a discounted price? And speak to an accountant, see if you can write it off of your taxes or whatever. Each country is different, but I want to thank you once again for catching up with me on this topic and listening to this video. And if you have any questions, or if you have any specific questions with the A1 Mark II, I now have one with me pretty much all the time, so at least I get to tinker with it and answer your questions in depth. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.